Good evening, everyone. Okay, all of you got a chance to find out those data types. I mean, I asked you to find out. Yeah, can you tell me a few things?
Binary.
Hi, good evening.
Yep.
GST number on the store boards.
GST number. Yeah, though we call it a number.
Yeah,
But
it's
anyway, it's
new
alphanumeric data as well. GST.
Aadhaar card number you can consider it.
Aadhaar card number.
Any registration number on a conference on conference ID or something.
Right, yeah. Survey numbers. Yeah.
Train number.
Train number. Yes, it looks like a pure number, but it's not a number. Perfect. Looks like you definitely did some homework. Right, awesome. Fire extinguisher number. Right. Okay, flat numbers, room numbers. All right then. Great. So you got definitely some idea about these numbers, text format and numbers especially. Let us go through the Excel introduction. Just take you through a few points that may be surprising you as well in today's session. I think everyone who are like standing outside have coming, still coming in. Okay, let's get started. Anyways, I think they are going through that registration process. That's fine. Let's continue. Okay, so what is it overall, you're going to learn in these sessions? You're going to learn a few things. The first one is understanding the data. So yesterday also I was talking about a few data types and all, right? What is a number, what is text and all. We'll go through in detail today. And then how this data can be transformed into meaningful information, right? We gather the data from the different sources and we transform that into meaningful information with the help of formulas, pivots, and so many things are there, okay? And then once the information is ready, we summarize it. Again, with the formulas and pivot tables, we can summarize the data. Then we have visualization. So there we use, different kind of visual things like charts, conditional formatting, to identify the trends in the data and all. Once the visuals are ready, then we try to analyze it, right? Yesterday, by any chance, we were working with the pivot table to understand which region has the least profit or something. No, right? No problem. I'll show you that as part of analysis. And finally, we protect, print, or share, right? Right from the data, once the report is ready, how to share it with your management or how to protect it or how to take a printout. These are the things we are going to learn as part of this training. Okay. But before getting into the data level, we need to understand more about Excel first. Why Excel only used in many places? Why not the other tools, right? We'll talk about all those things and then we'll get some clarity, right? Why we use Excel? We use Excel for three main reasons. Okay, three main reasons. What are they? We store the data, we do the calculations with the data, and also we analyze the data. What are the three main reasons why we use Excel? We store the data, we do the calculations, and we analyze the data. Storing the data either by entering the data, you can store it, or you copy paste the data from some other source and you can store it. Usually in the organizations, both the things they take place. Either we manually type the data and we feed the data, store it, or we take the copy of some data from some tool and we copy and paste it into Excel and we store it. So storage. Once the data storage is done, what is the next thing we do? We do the calculations using the data. So many functions are there. We'll talk about them. And finally, what is the purpose we are doing the storage and calculation? We want to analyze the data. Right? These are the three main reasons why we store the data, why we use Excel. History of a spreadsheet. Again, we're talking about electronic spreadsheets here. 1978, 1980. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about the history, but yeah, one thing I want you to remember, when Excel was launched by Microsoft, they named it as Multiplan. The very first version, Excel, if you see the name, Microsoft named it Multiplan. And later they renamed it as Excel from the second version onwards, right? Of course, history, as long as the technology is concerned, if you remember the less history, it is better for you. Simple. What is the point talking about, 30, 40 years ago, what happened in the technology, right? In the next 2 years also, it will again change, right? So history again in the technology world, I don't think, it will give you some idea like what all happened previously, but I don't really think it's really useful. But if you really want to remember something, Excel was released, nothing but Multiplan was released in 1985. How old is it? 40 years. Very much sure most of you are not even born. That's when Excel was born. It has got more experience, than your age. Yeah, perfect. 1985, the very first version of Excel, which is Multiplan, that was released into the market. Microsoft always says this. One of the best products they introduced to this world is Excel. Yeah. And who are the competitors for Excel? No competition. I'll give you a simple clue here. You want to buy an AC. Okay. Don't ask me why would someone buy an AC during winter. Okay. Just assume that you want to buy an AC, right? Tell me a few company names. LG, Voltas, Godrej, Samsung, Bosch, Haier. Okay. I think in 10 seconds time, you are able to tell me at least 5 different brands, right? I want to learn or I want to implement a reporting tool in my company, something that's like Excel, okay? Tell me any other alternative name that is available for Excel.
Google Sheets.
Google Sheets, perfect. Come on. You see, what's that? This is the point. We have so many other tools in the market. From Oracle, you have OpenOffice Calc. Most of the people, they don't even know this. You have LibreOffice. You have Lotus, IBM Lotus 123. All of them, they have the same kind of Excel interface only. You have WPS Office. Most of the people, they don't even know the names. If you don't even know the names, then how can you call it as a competitor? There is no competition to Excel other than the Google Sheets. Most of the companies, they prefer using Excel only, right? Perfect. Let us learn a little bit of terminology of Excel also, okay? So I think most of you are aware, but let me ask you this. What are these things called? Cells, perfect. Cells. A cell is an intersection between a column and a row. I understand most of you may be aware of this, but someone who is like very beginner, please try to focus on this topic, okay? Right. So every intersection is called a cell. It's a cell. And the cell intersection is between the column and a row. Column is C, row is 22, which is C22 cell. And that address, you can see it in the name box. This is called name box. Okay, name box. So where do we see the cell addresses? In the name boxes. And every intersection is called one cell. We call it a cell name, cell address, cell reference, right? All these things are pointing to the same thing. What is the name of the cell? C22. What is the address of the cell? C22. What is its reference? C22. You can use anything there, any name there. Okay, fine. I have a question here. Now, can you identify the cell address? D25. Excellent. Can anyone tell me what do we call this if you select multiple cells? If you select a few cells like this, what do we call this? It's a range. Perfect. It's a range. Every range also comes with a range address. And this range address is from C22 to C27. And if I select something like this, okay? Now, can you tell me the range address? It is D21 to D30. Right? And how do we write that two? D21 to D30. This is how we write. The 2 is a colon symbol there. Colon. Okay, when you write that colon, understand that it is 2 from this point to the end point. D21 to D30 is the selected range address. Okay, can you tell me now what is the address? This range address?
C21 to D30.
Correct. C21 to D30. Okay, that is the address. C21 to D30. So that is a range address. So an individual thing is called a cell. Collection of things is called a range. Range. We use the word range. Okay. I think you are clear about this, right? Then collection of all these cells together is one worksheet. What is the worksheet that we have currently about Excel, Excel UI, keyboard shortcuts, data types, and all that? They are the sheets, worksheet, sheet tabs, all of them. Okay, they are the sheets only. Worksheet, you can say, sheet, you can say, sheet tab, you can say, any of those things. Okay, but all these things together, what it forms? It forms one worksheet, right? Cells, collection of all cells together is one sheet, and collection of all these sheets together is one workbook. Workbook is our file. This is a workbook. Okay, that is a workbook. And inside the workbook, what do we see? We see the sheets. Inside the sheets, what do we see? We see the cells. So when it comes to the object model of Excel, the same thing. What is the application that we are using? Excel. Inside Excel application, what do we find? We find the workbooks. Inside the workbooks, what do we see? We see the sheets. Inside the sheets, what do we see? We see the cells. Just not only the cells, along with the cells, you see the charts, pivot tables, shapes, pictures, so many things you can place them inside the sheets. But one of those things that you need to remember at this point is sheets have cells, right? You need to be very, very clear about these two terms. Workbook and worksheet. These are two different things. Workbook is different, worksheet is different. A book is a file. Inside the file, you see the sheets, right? Why I'm saying, very, very specifically is because if you want to ask a question about a workbook, but unknowingly you use the word worksheet, then the answer will be different. Simple. You want to delete the workbook. If you want to delete the workbook, that means what? You want to delete the file. Then what is the process? You need to go to that folder, pick up the file, which one you want to delete, and delete it. But the same question, if you ask me, I want to delete a worksheet, then the answer would be, you want to go to that sheet and do a right click and delete it. So understand these two are two different things. Workbooks are different, worksheets are different. Understood? Done. Got some clarity now? Right, and you understand the hierarchy of these objects. First of all, Excel application. Inside Excel application, we have the workbooks. Inside the workbooks, we have the sheets. Inside the sheets, we have the cells. Along with the cells, so many other objects also there. Right? Done. As we understood, what is a workbook? Right? Workbook is what? A file. Every file in computers, they come with certain extensions. File extensions, we call them. Right? Every file comes with a file extension. Here also, if you look at the Excel files also, they come with Excel file extensions, okay? Here's the point. What is a file extension? Let's try to understand first. Let me give you a simple example here. Do you know what is a .jpeg file extension? What kind of a file is it? It's a picture file. It's an image. Done. What is .html file extension? It's a web page. Using this language, hypertext markup language, we create the web pages. Right. What is .dvc file extension? Document. Excellent. Looks like you know most of the extension. What is a .ppt extension? PowerPoint. Oh, super. What is a .csv extension?
CSV file.
It's comma separated values. Basically, it's a flat file, something like it's a raw data file without any formatting. Of course, as we go along, I'll show you how to import the data from the CSV files and all. We have a few exercises I'll show you. This is also mostly used to store the data only. CSV, comma separated file. Okay, you know what is .pdf? Yeah, PDF extension. What is PDF? PDF. PDF is non-editable document. Yeah, sometimes PDFs can be edited. You just need to create that way. Okay, so most of the people, they say this, PDF is a PDF because it is a PDF. Portable document format, PDF. But in the regular usage, we simply say that, okay, can you send that PDF to me? But the full form is portable document format, which is used which is used in Adobe Acrobat Reader. Different readers are there, PDF readers, portable document format, right? Mostly we create the non-editable formats only using PDF, but sometimes you can also create an editable PDF format. You can select few things and you can save it. Okay, cool then. So that means you definitely have some idea what is a file extension. A file extension that talks about the type of the file, because it needs to choose an application to open that, right? So when it comes to Excel, Excel also has the file extensions. 4 commonly used file extensions: .xls, xlsx, xlsm, xlsp. These are the 4 file extensions: XLS, XLSX, XLSM, XLSB. What is this XLS? XLS belongs to 1997-2003 file extension. Okay. What is this file extension? 1997 to 2003. That is a file extension. Okay. XLS, which is like a little outdated one. Almost like a 22 years ago, we used to have this extension. Of course, almost like up to 2007, we were using the same thing. 1997 to 2003. So what is the specialty of this XLS extension? It can hold both data and macros. It can store both data and macros. What is that word? Macros, I'll come to that. But you know what is data, right? Data means you input anything, any numbers, text, date, time, anything you can input, that is the data, right? Perfect. So 1997 to 2003, we had a file extension .xls. But from 2007 onwards, 2007, 10, 13, 16, 19, 20, 24, Office 365, all these file extensions, they have these extensions, .xlsx, .xlsm, .xlsp. What is a .xlsx extension? It can store only data, but not macros. What is this word macros? I'll explain shortly. But for now, understand that it can store only data, but not macros. XLSM can store data and as well as macros. You know that M stands for, it's a macro enabled workbook format. It's a macro enabled workbook format. And the last one is XLSB. It's a binary format. B stands for binary. Okay, XLSB. Done. So why do we use this binary format, to reduce the file size? Okay. Best example is, let's say, if you have an Excel file that is with 24 MB data. One Excel file is there with 24 MB, which is there in XLSX extension. And you need to send it to your client. And you are trying to attach that to the email. But emailing server has a limit that it accepts only 20 MB file. So can you can you delete a 4 MB data so that it matches that 20 MB, and can you send the rest of the file to your client? No, not a great idea. Then what is the best one? The recommended one is you save this file as XLSB. The moment you save the file with XLSB extension, automatically the file size will be compressed because it stores the data in the binary format. But how to prove it? We did some small exercise there. Let me show you this one. The same amount of data when it was stored with different file extensions. You see this CSV TXT took about 1.8 MB. XLS took about 3 MB. XLSX and XLSX with the table format took about 1.4 MB. But the same amount of data when we stored with XLSB, 815 KB. You see this? So what does it mean? It compresses the data. Okay, because it uses a technique there, it converts that file into a binary format. As a result, this file size will be compressed. Okay, clear? Right. So understand this.
It all depends upon the size of the file.
Right.
Size of the file is, suppose it's about, since you told me about 1000 about, it's about 5000 KB. It will come to it. Is there any fixed that this can be converted into?
Okay, so if you want me to talk about some percentage or a ratio, I would say that a 30% file size will be compressed. Let's say if it was earlier 100 MB, it will be brought down to 70 MB.
Okay.
So you see that space saving. Okay. Right. So we understand now 4 extensions: XLS, XLSX, XLSM, XLSB. XLS is a very old one. XLSX, XLSM, XLSB are the newer ones. But when it comes to macros, have you observed something? Except this XLSX. Except this XLSX, let me just apply some green font there with, okay? Except this XLSX, rest all XLS, XLSM, XLSB, all 3 are capable of storing macros. But all 4 are capable of storing data. All of them are meant for the data. But except that XLSX, rest of the 3, XLS, XLSM, and XLSB, they are capable of storing macros as well. What is this word macro, and why a few files are able to store and one extension why it can't store? Let us see an example of a macro, then you will understand power of a macro, right? But for now you understood, right? There are 4 extensions. Out of them, 3 are capable of storing the macros. 1 is not. What is that one thing that can't store the macros? Excel SX extension, right? But let me show you what is a macro. Probably then you will get some idea. I'll go to this macro example. It's there in your material already, okay? So the requirement is this. You just need to, let me just open this, and you can also try this out at your home, okay? Right, what I want to do is, I want to work with this data, okay? There are customers. I just apply a filter. I'll take this customer name, copy this data, okay? Create a new workbook. Do you know the shortcut to create a new workbook? Control N. In any application, if you hit a Control N, it creates a new file object, okay? Control N, and you want to paste it. Control V. So what is the customer name here? ALFKI. I take the same name here for the sheet name ALFKI. And after that, I want to save this file because it belongs to only ALFKI customer. Recent macro example. There we have the customer files. I want to save it with ALFKI. Close it. Right. Once it is done, save it. Close it. And what is the next thing that I need to do? Same process. Go to the next customer, select that, select the data, copy that, create a new workbook, paste that. What is the name? ANATR, and save the file. Go file, save as. And where do you want to save it? In the customer files folder. And ANATR is the file name. Save it. Once it is done, close it. And then again, go to the next customer and then do the same thing again. Copy the data, create a new workbook, paste it, rename the sheet, save the file, close the file. This way you need to do it for how many customers? These many. Almost 80 customers are there. Now you tell me, how much time would you need to complete this? 1 hour. Okay, let's do one thing. You said 1 hour to do this. Take a new workbook and do a small calculation. In 1 hour, you have 60 minutes. Each minute has 60 seconds. And you just need to do a multiplication. This multiplies this, multiplies this. So you got 3,600 seconds to split the data of 80 files. And if you do a simple division, on an average, right, you got around 45 seconds to complete this. Okay, each file 45 seconds looks to be reasonable amount of time to do that. What all things you need to do? Go to the data, filter the customer, select the data, copy the data, create a new workbook, paste the data there, rename the sheet, go to file, save as, save the file, and come back, close the file, go to the next one. Almost like 10 steps you need to do in 45 seconds. So it looks to be fun, right? I think we can do it, right? But now you tell me, can you guarantee 100% quality in this process? Can you guarantee that, all the spellings of the customer names, no way. Something or the other we type incorrectly. And one more thing is that maybe initially, 45 seconds maintaining that average, you may be focused, and you can get that done. But slowly, once you reach like 20 files, 30 files, 40 files, 50 files, slowly our efficiency levels will also come down. Yes or no? That's when it will start taking like more than 1 minute and you will be, losing your focus, right? And I'll tell you one more interesting thing. How many files are there? 80 files are there, right? So you'll be filtering, copy pasting, right? And you feel like, okay, you reach the last customer. What is the expectation when you go to this folder? You should be able to see all 80 files because you already reached the last file, right? But you know how many you find usually? 78. Exactly. 78. Why 78 only? In that process of, doing that monotonous, boring work, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, one, something or the other we will miss. And we find what? 78 files only. How many are missing there? Two are missing. To find out what all are missing, it will take more half an hour. Yes or no? All these things are the practical problems, right? But let me show you one interesting thing here today. There is something called a macro, right? Right. Okay. There is a macro I created and I just click on this button. I say that create workbooks. Just click that. Go to that folder. The files are getting generated automatically. Right. All 80 will be done. We are almost done with 20 files now. Okay. So how much time we thought like it would require if we want to do it manually? 1 hour, right? Now you see already 30 files are done. I'm not doing anything. I just clicked on that button. That's it. Okay. 35. Okay. 37. Yeah. Almost like 40 files are done. We thought like we would require at least 1 hour time. Looking at the speed, I think it should be able to complete this task maybe just, yeah, little more than 1 minute.
But how much time does that macro creation take?
Yeah, good one. Let's complete this. I'll show you the code, right? And then you'll get some idea.
Macros is also a part of training the code.
No, macros is a different training course and it takes about 1 month. That's also same like Excel only, but someone who is aiming for macros should be good with Excel because in macros, what is that we do? Whatever the Excel features that we do manually, we try to automate them. So that means you need to learn Excel first before moving on to macros. Right, it's done actually. Let me go
What
back
is
and
the
see.
final use of macros? If you can just elaborate a bit.
Come again once, please. What is the
What are the usages of macro
usages of
from,
macros? Okay.
yeah, from analysis point of view or whatever?
Analysis. Good one. I'll show you a couple of my real-time projects, okay? Then you will get some idea. Right, you see that little over 1 minute, almost like each file is processed, 80 files, right? Almost like 80 seconds, 1 minute 20 seconds, 1 minute 13 seconds it took. But the beauty of it is you see that without any other intervention other than clicking that button, you can randomly open any file, right? You see that? You have BOTTM saved with the same spelling. 100% accurate results we can get using macros. And we expected 80 files. Yes, all the 80 files are here. Now you tell me, when something is offering you, a quick result plus 100% accuracy, would you still like to do it manually? No, right? But someone rightly asked, like, how much time do I need to invest to create this kind of a code that automates this 1 hour work and that makes it like 1 minute? But how much time do I need to invest? Yeah, good one. Let me hit Alt F11. It will take me to the coding window, the VB editor. And the code that is actually doing this is this code. This is a code. Okay. When anyone, who is coming from the non-programming background, when someone sees this code, they will definitely get a question like, okay, it is looking really tricky. And can I write these kind of codes? Right? Are you getting the question? It's not my cup of tea and it looks programming. And how do you expect a non-tech guy to write a programming something like this? Variables, declarations, integers, long, double, single, string, something, right? That for loop is there, message box is there, right? So many things are there. How do you expect a non-tech guy to write this? You get this question. If you are getting that question, you are thinking probably in the wrong direction. I'll tell you why. What's my education background?
BCom.
BCom. I'm also coming from the non-tech background only. But this code takes only about 5 to maybe max 8 minutes. I'll be able to write this code. Yeah, it's not that tricky. I'll tell you why I'm saying it is not tricky and it's not complex. Why? And these days it turned out to be much more easier. Exactly. You just
AI.
give the prompt correctly to the chat GPT. Okay. We also have AI sessions. Okay. I'll let you know how you can frame your prompt so that chat GPT will give you, a result. You just simply copy paste. You don't even need to change a single comma. Copy paste and it will get you that output. But I'm not discussing those things at the very beginning because you may be focusing more on ChatGPT learning only instead of building that skill inside you. So that's the reason I'm not covering that. But in the last project session, I'll cover that. Okay, how to integrate ChatGPT and how to use, our ChatGPT prompts to get the solution. Okay, but to write this code, it actually doesn't take much time. But you need to learn macros first. The language that you see on the screen is called VBA. Visual Basic for Applications. VBA, Visual Basic for Applications. So this is the programming language we use to automate the regular Excel work. I'll tell you one more thing. Anything and everything that you do manually can be automated using Excel VBA, Visual Basic for Applications. It's a programming language, right? Using VBA, what is that we create? We create macros. What is a macro? Macro is a program. What is the job of a macro or what is the job of a program? It is to automate our work. Why do we prefer automating instead of doing it manually for number of hours of time? Spending number of hours on the same task. What is it we do? We simply code it and execute it, right? But why I'm saying it is not complex, let us spend some time on a couple of lines. And I think if you can read it and understand it, we are there. You're there almost, okay? I just highlighted a line, right? Can you guess what is it doing? Just read the code. What is it doing?
So basically, we are giving path to save the workbook,
Hmm.
where it should save, how it should save, and the extension.
Right? With a .xls extension with the customer name and in a particular path, we are saving that. I think without knowing the coding, you're able to guess it, right? Right? Yes or no? After saving it, any guess what is it we are doing? What is it we are doing? After saving the file, what is it we are doing? We're closing it. That's what it says. Okay, after that, what is it doing? Any idea?
Create for next customer.
Exactly. I'm saying like next customer loop, right? I think it is easy to read, right? I understand, but if you want to write something like this from the scratch, there will be so many confusions, questions like why is it like that? Why that there is a comma and what is a colon equal to, and so many questions will come. But are you able to read and understand what's happening there? At this point, yes. But if you want to write it, it will take some time. That is when you need to learn VBA macros, right? If you want to write these kind of codes. But what is the advantage of learning VBA macros? Whatever you are doing as on today manually can be automated. Your 1 hour job will turn into 1 minute, right? Let's say if you need to do this kind of a task every day, that means every day you need to spend 1 hour time. But after coding it, what is the advantage? Every day you just click one button and in 1 minute it will give you that output. You're getting it? Of course, in this example, I'm only just showing how to split the data. But that customer data file should be attached to an email and should be sent to the customer. Let's assume you got like master data, so many customers data. You need to split the data, take a copy of it, paste it, save it as a customer data file, and take the file, attach it to email and send it to customer. Even you can do that. You see that how automatically you can complete your work, right? This is what I did. Initially, I focused learning Excel. After learning Excel, I was able to do so many things. Then all these things, because I was manually working, it was definitely taking some time. Then that's when I've started learning macros. Whatever the reports that I had, 1 hour report, 2 hour reports, all of them turned out to be 1 minute and 2 minutes. What will happen after completing your work in just like a half an hour time? Your entire day work is over. Then
Start with tomorrow's.
so you can't do tomorrow's work today. Because these are like daily reports, weekly reports, and there is a particular schedule, and you will have to follow that. Right? What is it you can do?
We can do any other value.
Exactly, a value addition. There are two things. One thing, you can add value to your life, or take more work and add value to the company. That's it, right? What I chose is add value to my life by learning additional skills. That's when I got into SAP, BOBI, Crystal Report, SQL Server, and all that stuff. Once you start saving the time, better invest learning a new thing. And along with that, I was playing TT also a lot, table tennis. We used to have a TT board. All that stuff is automated. Just click one button and your job is done for the day. Go play for some time, come back, learn something new, again go play. Because your entire work is just done in what? Just 1 hour, hardly. Now you're getting it. Whereas my other colleagues used to struggle a lot to complete their work. Understand? Macros are that powerful. I'll show you one example now. This is one example you understood, right? Your 1 hour job, how it can be automated. Right? If you want to write this code, this will take some time. I'm not denying that fact. But non-technical people, can they write it? Yeah, definitely they can write it. Right? And moreover, these days it's very easy. I'll show you also towards the end of these sessions. I'll show you ChatGPT integrations and how to directly give a prompt to ChatGPT and all. Right? I'll show you an example so that you will get a better idea. Of course, it's one of my projects.
So whatever 10 steps you told me then initially, 10 steps you told. So at 10 steps, you have programmed that to in a macro.
Correct.
Correct.
All those 10 steps, I've programmed it. I'll show a sample project. Yeah, this is one of those things we got, okay? There is a company that closely work with the Pollution Control Board of India. Okay. Come to this question also. Yeah. Pollution Control Board of India, PCB, something is that, right?
Pollution control.
So they closely work with them, right? And they use the drones to capture the different gases in the air at different altitudes. Okay. The drones, they go to different levels and they capture that. How the carbon dioxide, how the nitrogen, how all other stuff, right? And they get the raw data from a drone like this, and it is fed into their server, and the server from the drone, it returns something like this. So if you observe at different altitudes, the different numbers are reported, right? And you see this is an altitude, okay? And a particular longitude and latitude. And what is the temperature at that altitude, at that height, right? How is the temperature, how is humidity, pressure, and SO2, CO2, NO2, all that stuff. So the drone captures all this information and feeds that data into a server, and from the server, you can download this report. Okay. Then what they wanted is they wanted the consolidated gas report and a consolidated PM report. I think some pressure related something. Okay. So let's say when it goes to certain different altitudes, in altitudes, what happened is that you see that 54.33, right? And you see the next one is 54.17, 54.033, 54.3077, different altitudes, okay, different heights, but they are very much close to each other. Then what they asked is that, okay, so if everything is falling within that 54 meters range height, okay, they wanted to consolidate that or average that number, right? 54.1, 54.2, 54.3, all of them, they should fall into 54 height only, right? So these guys were doing what, they used to create manually pivot tables and average if functions and all that stuff. And every day it produces, every 1 hour, one drone produces one report at one particular altitude. Now, if they are analyzing 50 to 100 meters altitude, so every 1 hour, it generates 50 reports, every 1 meter height, right? And they need to submit the data in the visual format like this, right? SO2, when the altitudes are increasing, how the SO2 is there in the air. CO2, you see that? I think it looks realistic also. At a 53 altitude, it's somewhere around 2.3 something micrograms, whatever they call. I don't know that terminology. But once you go to a certain level, the CO2 is usually less in the air. Why?
Heavier.
It's heavier. It stays close to the ground, right? So it looks realistic also. So that is what they wanted me to do. And every day, every machine or every drone works for a good number of hours and a good number of reports are generated. Turning that into visuals like this is not that easy, right? If someone manually sitting and doing hundreds of reports every hour, we were getting it. Simple. Now you see that there is a code I created. I think it was a long back project, and it was 2023, somewhere around that point. Okay. This is the code. You don't need to do much. Click button, right? And that button that runs this code inside. This is the code running inside. Okay. And it generates all those raw data files. The raw data comes like this only data sheet. That's it. It picks up all those things. It looks at all the data points. Okay. It summarizes all those different altitudes and it averages out all the gases in the air. And then it creates the charts. It plots some data first and then basis on that, it generates all those different types of charts with one click. There was a team of 10 members continuously working on this data. Now it turned out to be a one click. And within minutes, it can generate all those insights for them. Now you get it. What is the savings for them? 10 team members. They don't need the team anymore.
9 people running.
9 people gone and one person left just to click that button. You're getting it. So someone is asking what kind of disadvantages are there with the macros. I think I gave you a best example. People will lose jobs. Yeah. I mean, is it a disadvantage? Yeah. From the people standpoint, yes. From the company standpoint, it's a good thing. Yeah. The other thing, I'll tell you one thing. Why I intentionally marked with green, that XLSX, there is a reason. The other things, I'll definitely mark it with red, okay? You may be thinking like all these things, they support macros, right? Why are you, applying the red? Red is not a good sign, right? There is a reason. Macros are what? Programs. Using which language? VBA, right? XLS, XLSM, XLSB, all 3 files can support macros. They can store macros, right? That means they can store programs, right? I'll tell you one very, very important thing here. These days, it is like way too high. I mean to say like so many instances are taking place. If you receive any XLS, XLSM, XLSB file extensions, you need to be really careful. Why? Because using macros, you can create 2 types of programs. What are they, Good programs and bad programs.
Okay.
Just now I
Basically,
showed you,
yeah.
go on. Yeah, I showed you an example of a good program and a couple of examples of good programs. They were helping us to speed up the work, improve the productivity, improve the quality. But using the same macro coding, we can create virus programs as well, right? What I can write, just go to the Outlook, find out any sensitive information is there, capture all that information into one email, send it to me, and then go to the sent items, delete that email so that you can't even find out something went out from your system. You're getting it? So those kind of codes can be written. That's the reason it is always recommended to set the macro security to disable all macros with a notification. Unless you approve it, it won't run. But if you enable by default everything, what is it saying? It is not recommended as potentially a dangerous code can run. Which is like a virus program. So just be careful. Whenever you receive any unknown, files from unknown sources, which are with the extension XLS, XLSM, XLSB, you need to be really careful because these are macro capable files. The moment you approve, okay, execute the macros, you don't know what kind of a code is running inside. Just be careful, right? So that's the reason it is not recommended to directly enable any kind of a macro. These are, yes, as long as you use them for the good purpose, they are really great. But if someone decided to use it or misuse it, it's really dangerous. This is what I always say. Atomic energy. Using that, you can create electricity. Same technology can be used for atom bomb. right? I don't know how many of you have actually learned this earlier, that macros can do something like this. Macros can be used for good as well as for bad. Just be careful, right? The moment you see any email, irrelevant email, I'll tell you, I usually say this, okay? Usually we get these emails, right? Saying, okay, you won a Coca-Cola lottery, right? 50 million GBP or 50 million US dollars. Please open this file, fill in this, fill up this information and send it back so that we can process your, what is it, the prize amount, right? I think we should use our common sense whenever we get these kind of emails. You won a lottery for which you never bought a ticket. How is it possible? Right? But usually people think like, okay, we want something and we try to, respond to that email and all. Right. Yeah. I learned something. In this world, nothing comes for free. If something is coming for free or at a very cheaper price, you definitely need to doubt that. Right? We put the cheese in the mouse trap, right? What mouse thinks is cheese is available for free, but it's a trap. Simple reality, right? Yeah, just be careful, especially since you understood the, macros capabilities, right? So just be careful. Done. So what all extensions can save
Like, sir, I have
macros?
like one doubt.
Yes, please.
We can enable in this the file extension of XLSX. We can enable macros for the Excel file. We can do it or we can't do it.
We can do it. We can enable or we can disable the macros. That is as per our security settings,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
That's the reason I always keep it like this. This is a default option also. Disable all macros with a notification. So it gives me a notification whenever I open any macro file and it says that macros are there. Do you want me to enable? I don't enable all those macros directly. First of all, I'll get into the coding window. I'll review the code, what all are written. And then if it is looking to be saved, then I enable it. Otherwise, no.
So since you know the macro, you immediately if
Someone like a beginner who
don't.
mm,
Suppose he has consider there is an impact of it.
mm,
Tell me, sir, one thing is, if I want to ask you that there are instances so that XML, the 3 extensions are there where you can use a macro. Then what is the purpose of keeping XLS? So we can remove that, extension XLS.
excellent.
Where the macros are not there.
Without macros, one excellent question. Yeah, why do we have this XLSX without macros, right? The XLSM, XLSB, and XLSX only the difference is that XLSX can't store macros. XLSM, XLSB they can store macros, and which are like far advanced than XLSX. That's what we think. And if you ask me, Microsoft did a great thing. Not every Excel file requires automation. Do we create all Excel reports for automation only? No, right? When you have an extension which is a macro-free extension, you can happily trust that file. There are no macros. You can happily open it also without any second thoughts. Yeah,
We can even save as to these 3 extensions also.
you can do that. You can save these files with any other extension also. But the default extension of an Excel file is XLSX only. Right? Why? Because not every Excel file requires automation. But if you really want to do the automation, nothing but writing macros and all, then you need to choose an extension that when you go for a file save as, the default extension is XLSX, but you need to go and find, any other extension like macro enable extension or a binary extension. Okay?
So
And this is a great thing they did.
on your workbook, we find an option called a developer help. So that you have enabled it for this Excel application,
Exactly.
right?
In your Excel application, you don't find the developer tab as a default tab because I'll tell you one thing. Earlier, we used to, you remember these sets? All the people who play badminton, but they don't play basketball, but all the people who play basketball, they are the badminton players. Something like that sets, A intersection B, B intersection A union B, right? That's how I give one statement. All the developers are Excel users, but all Excel users are not developers. You understand? Right? So not everyone needs to enable the developer tab. But if you want to code something, yes, you need to enable it. because all the features that are related to the development are there inside the developer tab. It's not a default tab. By the way, just in case if you want to enable it, I'll show you that also. That's easy. Just do a right click on the ribbon, customize the ribbon. And in your case, the developer tab is not checked. You just go ahead and check it. Click OK. That's it. You will see the developer tab. Okay, that's how you enable the macro developer tab. That's easy only. But enabling is easy.
Same goes for help and Acrobat also, right?
So those things are like the add-on things, like depends on the version that you see, the Acrobat Reader or PowerPoint and all other stuff, right? Depends on the version, you see different features there. Okay? Right. Any questions? Any other? Okay, fine then. Coming to the file extensions and the number of rows and columns that we have, observe this. XLS, as we discussed, it is an outdated one during that 1997-2003. The number of rows are 65,536 rows per sheet, 256 columns. Number of rows are 65,536. Number of rows are 65,536. Number of columns are 256. In which extension? XLS, very old file. But from 2007 onwards, we have XLSX, XLSM, XLSB, right? There we have the total number of rows, 10,48,576. Nothing but 1,048,576 rows, 16,384 columns. You look at the data size also, significantly increased, right? But I always used to get a question like, 65,536. Why 65,536? 65,000 round figure. Right? Yes or no? 10 lakh or 1 million. Right? Yes or no? It's easy to remember also, right? Why is Microsoft made it like such a tricky number to remember this? Understand one thing. There is a reason behind this. For any data storage in computers, ultimately turns into that machine language, and that's where this 2-power logic comes into picture. That's the reason all our memory devices are also like this.
102.
You would have seen a 1 GB of a 2 GB pen drive data storage. After 2 GB, 4 GB. After 4 GB, 6 GB.
Eight.
There is no 6 GB actually. It goes to directly 8 GB. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024. You know what are they? They are 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, and 1024 is 2 power 10. And here also the number of rows and columns that you are seeing in the 2-power logic only. 65,536 is 2 power 16. This is caret symbol, nothing but that is power exponent. 2 power 16. 2 power 16 is equal to 65,536. What is 2 power 8? 256. What is 2 power 20? 10,48,576. What is 2 power 14? 16,384. The 2 power 14 is XFD, nothing but XFD. If you consider A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, and if you go on like that counting, it goes up to XFD. XFD is 16,384th column. And what is the last cell on any sheet? The last cell is XFD 10,48,576. That is the last cell. Okay. So many cells are there. I'll show you one very, very interesting thing. Like, what if I have decided to spend 1 second on each cell? 1 second on each cell. Nothing but I want to spend 1 second here, 1 second here, 1 second here, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, each 1 second. And I want to touch the last cell. What is the last cell in any spreadsheet? XFD 10,48,576. Right? That is a cell. Right? If I want to spend 1 second on each cell, and I want to touch that last cell, do you know how much time would it take? Can you guess? 1 day, 2 days?
48,500 to
16,384. Okay. Maybe 3 days, 4 days, can we reach that cell? Touching each and every cell. Maybe 1 week. Okay. 1 month. Fine. Can we touch the last cell? Let's do one thing. Let us do the math, okay? To touch this cell. How many seconds are needed? If you are spending 1 second on each cell to touch the last cell, how many seconds are needed? Whatever the number of cells are there, those many seconds are needed. Okay, how to find out the total number of cells in one spreadsheet? Simple. If you have a 3
Multiply.
rows, 2 columns. Yeah, 3 rows, 2 columns table. 3 rows, 2 columns table. How many cells are there? 6 cells. 3 multiplies 2.
6. Yeah.
Similarly, if you want to know how many cells are there, what is the one you need to do? Equal to every
1048 into
calculation.
1638. 4.
Exactly. Every calculation in Excel starts with equal to the number of rows is this, multiplies. This is a multiplication symbol, and number of columns is this. So when you do this, this returns the total number of cells that are available in one spreadsheet. These many cells are there. These many data points can be stored in one sheet. We are talking about one sheet, right? So whatever the number of cells are there, those many seconds are needed. That's it, right? Let us translate. Let us do one calculation to find out the total number of seconds available in 1 year, right? How do we start any calculation? Equal to, right? Now you tell me, how many days are there? 365 multiplies. Each day has how many hours? 24 hours. Each hour has how many minutes? 60 minutes. Each minute has how many seconds? Right. If I do this calculation, what it returns? The total number of seconds available in a year. Perfect. Only this much. And you know what? If you divide the total number of seconds available, needed, divided by total number of seconds available in 1 year, you need 545 years to touch the last cell. Now you imagine how big one spreadsheet is. Okay, hold on. We are talking about only one worksheet. What is a workbook? We discussed. A workbook is collection of multiple sheets. And by the way, there is no limit. You can add as many sheets as you want. Now you can imagine the capacity of one workbook. One workbook, right? Earlier, during that, 1997, 2003 XLS extension is there, right? The maximum sheets, it can go up to only 256 sheets per workbook. But now there is no limit. It's up to you, whatever the number that you want to add, right? Now you understand? And by the way, how all the calculations start in Excel? How do we start any calculation? Exactly, is equal to. Is equal to, and after that you take the cell references or use the numbers, multiplications and things like that, right? Do we have any limitation to add the number of sheets in from 2007 onwards? Nothing but XLSX, XLSM, XLSB? No. No. There was a limitation only for XLS, 256 sheets total. Understood? Now you got some idea what kind of an environment we are working with? It's such a big one. So much of data can be stored. But in the real-time requirements, sometimes we feel like Excel is not enough because the real-time data is rapidly growing. Every day, millions of records, trillions of records are getting stored into the systems. Excel is not the right tool to handle millions of records because each sheet has, what is the maximum capacity? 1 million rows only. So that's when this Power Query and Power BI, they come into picture to analyze, more data in a faster way. Okay, got some idea now? Right. You understood how big it is, one Excel sheet? Got some idea? There are so many other interesting things like this. But for today, I'll end it here, right? Tomorrow, we'll talk about Excel UI. In our next session, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is what? Weekend, right? Okay. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. Right. We work on Saturday, Sunday, but we have weekend sessions, not the regular weekday sessions. But I'll do one thing. But anyways, there is nothing much you need to do for today and this weekend. But going forward from next Monday onwards, Monday we have our first MCQ. Okay. Whatever we learned, the number of rows, columns, the 2 power and what is Excel used for, Excel extensions, what is a macro, what is a program, what is VBA, all those questions will come. You may get a question, why don't you give that MCQ today itself? If I ask you all these questions now itself, you will answer. Okay. That's the reason after 2 days only I'll conduct the MCQ. So that means it definitely forces you to open this file, go through that sheet, right? And then be ready, right? And then our next session, I'll talk about Excel shortcuts, data types. Data types first session I'll take on Monday. Done? Okay, cool then. Any questions? Able to follow? Nothing actually technically super good today. It is like only orientation. But in our next session, you will understand more about data. Done? Great. Then so Nice connecting with you once again today, and I'll see you all on Monday. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Kishore.
Thank you.
Kishore, actually, I have one doubt.
Row
The
count
notes
is
we
48,000. Online, just stay on hold. Online, I'll come to you. Here we have an offline question. Yeah, number of rows are 10,48,576. If I insert new rows, will it increase? That's what your question. Even if you try to insert a new row, let's say I'll insert a few rows, right click. Okay, I want to insert. Okay. How many rows are like 4 or 5 rows? Okay, I'll go to that. Last one, how many? Still same. Let me insert a few more rows, like insert is the same. So that's the reason I'll tell you one more thing. In the last row itself, if you have some content, just in case, few people they do this mistake. Just to keep some data hidden, they keep this data in the last row, last column somewhere, right? And when they try to insert a new row now, what happens is that it is not okay. I think you need to understand this technical difference between insert and add. Insert means it inserts it by pushing the last rows outside the sheet. Add means it can add, but if you add something, the number should increase. There is no way that you can use the word adding the rows. You can use the word insert the rows. Then what happens when you try to insert? The last rows will be pushed outside the sheet and the new rows will be inserted, right? But the content, if it is there already here, see that? And the moment I try to insert at least a single row also, what should happen actually? The last row should be pushed outside, but there is some content, right? That's when you get this kind of an error saying that you cannot insert more cells because there is a content, and if you try to do this, this content will be pushed outside, so you can't do this. Now you're getting it? It can't add, it can only insert. I hope it answers your question. The number always remains same even after inserting 100 rows, right? Okay, online, go ahead, please. Looks like you have a question.
actually where you are updating this all notes.
Right, yeah. So this is available on the Google Drive. You should have received, I think you would have received a Google Drive link to download this. If not, give a call to the front office. They will share the link with you personally. You can download that. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool then. Great. I'll see you all on Monday then. Thank you. Bye. Yeah.